Anything that involves like a personal expression of any kind, I think you could call it art. My name is Esther Fan, and I am a graphic designer. I was born and raised in Vancouver, Canada. Actually, I was in a city called Richmond beside Vancouver, and they were predominantly Chinese, Taiwanese, and people from Hong Kong. So I kind of grew up around people who look like me. So my dad is an art teacher for high school kids. As a kid, I would always be like the one who had like no friends and be drawing my little sketchbook in the corner. So I think I had always been drawing, always been drawn to art. And when I got to high school, I took my dad's class to like get a portfolio ready. So I feel like it was kind of just set out for me to do art. So Asian Girls was the name that we worked under together. We started when we made our first project, which was called Have You Eaten? At the time we had been discussing, we had both been going through like some personal family things. We were actually working on a different project together. But in the midst of making that, we were starting to go through this family stuff, and then we were advised by a supervisor that we should be making something that, you know, matters to us. That's something that we could talk about for a long time. So we trashed the old project and we went on to do Have You Eaten, which kind of dealt with like our relationships with our mother. So the first bit of media attention we got was from ID, and so the kind of audience that ID has, like I think we already sort of catered to that. That's why it's easy to like consume the things that we were making, because it was like pretty straightforward and non-threatening. To make art, trying to say a message, like it just needs to be clear. So long as you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, I feel like almost anyone could do that. Like you don't need to have gone to art school. You don't even need to call yourself an artist necessarily. Like there's been a lot of political work that came from non-artists that we now know as art or call art. I think success starts with being honest about your own definition of it, being honest about your capabilities and your constraints, and setting realistic goals for yourself, because I think a habit that people kind of develop in maybe high school or undergrad is like trying to subscribe to an existing idea of success that is imposed from other people, and like stressing out when they aren't able to achieve that. I think learning your own boundaries and giving yourself a goal within those boundaries makes them more achievable, and also is more rewarding when you do reach them. If you say that you just want, you know, to garner attention in general, like it's easy for it to mean you want it to be palatable to a white gaze, and that's a whole other thing compared to if you have an audience that you care about, then you're catering to them. Having to learn to distance yourself from the white gaze is kind of a process in itself. There's a saying that's kind of going around where it's like, don't put an energy to people who are already committed to misunderstanding you, and it's like learning how to ration your energy. Also going back to being honest about your capabilities, like just learning to see who is actually willing to learn rather than someone who's just trying to like argue with you. So I think art to me is just seeing the ways that people like to express themselves. Just being in the process and knowing that I'm doing something that I care about, hopefully. I think that is rewarding in itself.